On a cool fall day, scones are a delightful treat, especially with a hot cup of tea. And today we're going to learn how to make them with roasted pears. Joining me now is food writer and culinary instructor Adrienne Kane. Nice to have you back here, Adrienne.
Nice to be here.
Before we get started, tell me a little bit about your book.
Okay, the book is United States of Pie. It's a regional historical pie book, and it's great for this time of year because there's all sorts of seasonal, festive,
different recipes
holiday
too. We can
recipes.
follow along.
Absolutely.
But the research for this had to be a lot of fun.
The research was great. I traveled the country. I met interesting pie makers, and there was a lot of research that I did in the library with vintage cookbooks and cookbooks from the 1800s and modernized them.
Is there a standout pie recipe that you love?
There is a really lovely apple pie with a cheddar cheese crust, which
oh my gosh, that sounds
perfect
fabulous.
for this time of year. Yes.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, but today we're switching gears a little bit and we're going to make some scones.
Yes.
Okay.
And these scones are great, but they're kind of interesting because there's two twists. One is that they are whole wheat.
Okay.
So they use part whole wheat flour and part regular flour. And then they also use roasted pear and walnut. But roasting the pear is great because it dries it out some, but it also concentrates the flavor.
Oh, so they're a little sweeter at that
So they're
point?
a little sweeter, they're more pungent, they're just really great to bake with.
And how do you actually roast the pear for those of us who aren't familiar with that?
So you core it,
Okay.
you leave the peel on, you slice it into a half-inch dice or so, and you toss it in a little bit of oil, some cinnamon, and just a tad bit of sugar.
Okay.
And then you roast it in about a 375-degree oven for about a half hour.
Okay.
And it works great with pears, but it's great with apples, or then even in the summertime, it's good with peaches, berries, anything but like citrus fruit. That's a little too watery.
Too much? Okay, good. We have the roasting down.
Yeah. And then it's also great because these I roasted the day before, so you can really put the scones together in a matter of minutes.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here I have 1 3/4 cups of regular flour and half a cup of whole wheat flour. I'm just going to whisk them together and sort of like aerate and sift the flours. And then I have a little bit of sugar, 2 tablespoons, your leaveners, which are half a teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then a bit of ginger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I add this sort of warm spice of the ginger.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, you're mixing that. Tell us about your new book. I know it's in the works.
It's in the
Adrienne,
works,
right?
and it is United States of Bread.
Well, it's even more fun than pie, I think. I don't know. How great.
And there's all sorts of yeast loaves, sandwich loaves, sweet breads, but then there's quick breads too, so it's not a whole day process.
Fabulous. Oh, we'll look for it.
Yeah. Okay, and then you take 6 tablespoons of butter,
Okay.
which have been, cut into a half-inch dice.
Okay.
And you begin to
Oh, it gets a little messy here.
work it in. Everything
I'll let
I
you
do
do that.
is messy. Exactly. Wouldn't be cooking if you wouldn't have a certain amount of mess.
Now, do you have to have the oven preheated?
Yes, you have the oven preheated at 375 degrees.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So you work it until it's sort of like gravel.
Sure. Okay.
And then you're going to add in your buttermilk, 1 cup of buttermilk,
Okay.
and 1 egg yolk, which is just for richness.
Great.
Okay.
So you mix that together. So about a minute left.
That together.
Okay.
And you're
And
gonna
here comes the goodies, right?
add the goodies. All sorts of pear and walnut.
Oh, it smells great. It smells like fall.
It smells
does,
like
right?
fall.
All right.
And then you're just gonna put them all out onto a baking sheet.
Now,
And
do you have
sort
to kind of worry about the shape or not?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, it's sort of a shaggy mess, and that's fine. You don't want to overwork the dough.
Okay.
And you're just going to add it to the baking sheet in a circle, pat the circle out, and then slice it into 8 wedges.
Okay.
And
that's how it looks at
that's
the
your
end.
final product.
I love it.
You
All
can
right.
sprinkle it with a little bit of sugar before you bake it. And you bake it for about 15-20 minutes.
Great. Well, we're going to check in with you at the end of the show and give them
Thank
a
you.
taste. Thank you so much for being here,
Thank
Adrienne.
you.
And coming up next, I recently spoke with Catherine Spencer-Carey about the 45th annual celebration of American crafts. We're going to share that interview with you coming up after the break.